Question 16. Drink the Kool-Aid, a database optimization company, has recently deployed Veeam Backup Replication with the database hosted on their local Microsoft SQL Server cluster. An auditor demands the database authentication method is changed from Windows authentication to Microsoft SQL Server authentication. How should the backup administrator implement this change? Well, we saw in the previous question that there was actually this Veeam Backup DB config X utility. So this could potentially be some option here that we could use. Let's see here. Veeam support must assist with pre-creating a new database. That doesn't sound like something Veeam would be interested in, because this also means we could have a lot of people calling Veeam support. So I feel like this is probably not a good thing. Disable all jobs, so that sounds like the one up here. Wait for all jobs to be in a stop state. Okay. Perform a configuration backup, then restore the configuration backup, and in the process, change the authentication method. This is also not really the way it would go. So we could, of course, migrate to a new backup server, and the new backup server, when it was installed, could be using a different SQL authentication, but this is not really what we would be doing here, because this states that we would be changing this authentication method in the process of restoring here, and that's definitely not the way it works. Once deployed, database authentication method cannot be modified. This is definitely not true. Veeam Backup Replication does not support Microsoft SQL Server authentication. So SQL has two means of authentication. It could be Windows authentication, SQL. So then I guess it becomes a matter of what does it support. So this one up here also seemed to be quite interesting. So let's go and take a look at the user guide. And it says here, change authentication method for database connection. Possible methods are Windows authentication and SQL Server authentication. So if we close this and go back, this is definitely incorrect. We can see based on the utility that it is possible to change it. If we don't have to do any configuration backups and restores to do it, there's no need to talk to Veeam support. So simply go and disable the jobs. Ideally, you would wait for them to really be in a stop state, but it's not a hard requirement, because the DB config utility will go and force stop all of the jobs if it needs to. And then once they're disabled, we can use this utility to go and switch it over.